Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Emily. She lived with her parents in a small town in the countryside. Emily was a kind-hearted and curious girl who loved exploring the outdoors. One day, Emily was out walking in the woods when she stumbled upon a beautiful tree. It was unlike any tree she had ever seen before. Its branches stretched up towards the sky, and its leaves were a deep shade of green. Emily was captivated by its beauty and wanted to know more about it. She went back to her town and asked around, but no one seemed to know anything about the tree. Emily was determined to learn more and decided to embark on a journey to find out more about it. She packed a bag with some food and water and set off on her journey. Emily walked for hours, following the river and the winding path through the forest. As she walked, she marveled at the beauty of nature around her. The leaves rustled in the wind, and the birds sang their songs. As the day went on, Emily grew tired and hungry. She realized she had forgotten to bring a map or any other supplies. She sat down on a rock by the river to rest and began to feel discouraged. She had come so far, but now she was lost. Just then she saw a figure coming towards her. It was an old man with a kind face. He asked her what she was doing so deep in the forest, and she told him about the tree she had seen. The old man listened intently to her story and then smiled. "I know exactly which tree you're talking about," he said. "It's called the Tree of Life. It's said to have magical powers that can heal any sickness or ailment." Emily's eyes widened in amazement. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She asked the old man where she could find the tree, and he told her that it was deep in the forest, beyond the hills and the river. The old man warned her of the dangers of the forest, but Emily was determined to find the tree. She thanked the old man. Finally, after hours of walking, she saw it in the distance. The Tree of Life was even more magnificent than she had imagined. Its branches stretched up towards the sky, and its leaves shimmered in the sun. As Emily approached the tree, she saw a small cottage nearby. She went inside and found an old woman sitting by the fire. The woman looked up and smiled at her. "Welcome, child," the woman said. "What brings you to the Tree of Life?" Emily told the woman about her journey and why she had come to the Tree of Life. The woman listened intently and then smiled. "You are a brave girl," she said, "but the journey to the Tree of Life is not an easy one. You must be prepared to face great challenges." Emily nodded, feeling determined. She knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but she was willing to face whatever came her way. The woman gave Emily some food and a warm blanket to rest. Emily spent the night in the cottage, feeling both nervous and excited. The next morning, Emily set off on her journey to find the Tree of Life. The woman had given her a map and some supplies to help her along the way. As she walked, Emily faced many challenges. She had to cross raging rivers, climb steep mountains, and navigate through dense forests. But she never gave up. She kept her eyes on the prize and continued on her journey. Finally, after days of walking, Emily arrived at the Tree of Life. She approached it with reverence and respect. She reached out and touched its trunk, feeling its energy flow through her. Emily stayed at the Tree of Life for several days, learning about its magic and the power it held. She spent her days exploring the surrounding forest and talking with the animals that lived there. She felt at peace, knowing that she had accomplished what she had set out to do. When it was time to leave, Emily knew that she would never forget the lessons she had learned on her journey. She had learned that with determination and hard work, anything was possible. She had also learned the value of friendship and the importance of family. As she made her way back to her town, Emily felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had faced her fears and overcome the challenges that lay ahead of her. She knew that she was stronger than she had ever been before. When she arrived back in her town, her parents greeted her with open arms. They had been worried about her, but were overjoyed to see her safe and sound. Emily told them about her journey and the tree of life, and they listened intently. In the end, Emily realized that the most important thing in life was not the destination, but the journey itself. She had learned that it was the people she met and the experiences she had along the way that made her journey worthwhile. From that day on, Emily lived her life with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. She continued to explore the world around her, knowing that she could overcome any challenge that lay ahead of her. And she knew that no matter where life took her, her family and the relationships she had formed along the way would always be her greatest strength.
I heard my mother calling relatives and friends one by one on phone and telling the news in a sobbing voice, "They will take out the ventilator today at around 3 p.m. You may come to see him before that." A week before that day, when he was taken to the hospital, my father was helping Grandpa to lie in the back seat of our car. I could not forget Grandpa's last unanswered reply when I, while trying to control my tears, asked my mother whether he would be all right. Grandpa called me by weak gesture and softly caressed my hair as he generally used to do. But very soon, his hand slipped away from my head, holding the left part of his chest to unsuccessfully stop the rising pain. He was struggling to breathe normally. He was the same man who once almost ran to the market in heavy rain to buy an inhaler for me when I lost the one in school, and was a little breathless because of the asthma I had. But when it came to him that day, I could not do much but just cried. My mother embraced me, saying Grandpa would come back soon. A night before that day, at the hospital's reception, my mother was consoling my distressed-looking father to accept destiny. It has to happen one day. I did not understand what it meant, but simply closed my eyes and prayed to God to let my grandpa be well soon. My grandpa once told me that prayers from children are pure and they surely reach God. But it did not happen, perhaps. That day we reached the hospital at 1 p.m. We went inside. Security at reception did not stop me that day. I was following my mother, trying to meet her pace, climbing the stairs to ICU where Grandpa was admitted. A nurse guided us to a room. After a long week gap, I saw my grandpa, my best friend. Grandpa was sleeping peacefully on the hospital bed. There were many small TV and radio-alike boxes with tiny lights. A few boxes were making a beep-beep sound in rhythm. I knew that the sound was fading heartbeats of my best friend, my grandpa. Then I saw my father, with red and swollen eyes, sitting close to Grandpa's bed. My mother could not control herself. She started sobbing loudly, kneeling at my father's shoulder. My father gently stood up and took my crying mother out of the room. I was left alone with the most adorable man of my life. I went close to him where my father was sitting just a few seconds back. I watched the face of my dear grandpa. There was no pain. It was calm and composed. Even with a few plastic tubes in his nose and mouth and a white foggy gas mask on it, I found his face quite charming and graceful. I started caressing Grandpa's hair. I wished that he utter my name. Just once. It was the same mouth that told me so many stories every day until I slept. I was waiting for his eyes to be opened, to see me last time. But he continued sleeping. These were the old eyes that never got tired of enjoying watching my toys, my drawing, my homework, my mark sheets. Then I looked at his hand. It was the same hand that used to caress my hair. I held his palm in both hands. I tried measuring my palm with his. Nothing had changed. His palm was still larger than mine. I touched his index finger. I held it last time. Holding it always assured me safe feeling in busy markets and crowded places. I took out my inhaler from my pocket and kept it on a nearby table where already many medicines were kept scattered. I remembered once my grandpa told me that the inhaler was my life savior. I murmured in Grandpa's ear, "Don't worry, Grandpa. You would get well soon. I kept your inhaler to save you." "It's a boy." Exhilarated voice of my father brought me back to my present. Today, 18 years later, on the same floor of the same hospital, I found my father rushing toward a nurse who was carrying a just-born baby. "What are you doing there? Come, look at him. He resembles ditto your grandpa," almost shouted my father in excessive excitement, carefully holding the baby in his arms. But I saw my grandpa in my father more than in my just-born son. A new cycle of life has started, to repeat itself once again. The story begins when I came out of the house muttering angrily and started moving towards the bus stand. I was muttering to myself, "Don't know how much money has been kept hidden, but can't get a bike for myself. Now I will leave here and will not come back until I buy a bike with my own money." I was thinking so much, then I felt something stinging my leg. When I looked down, I understood that I have come wearing my father's shoes in a hurry. The nail was protruding in those shoes, which was repeatedly wounding my feet. But anger was high at that time, so I went on grumbling. Suddenly I remembered that I had brought my father's purse with me. A thought came into my naughty mind. Why not check father's purse today? To date, he did not allow anyone to touch him. Don't know which treasure is hidden in this purse, which did not allow anyone to touch it. When I opened that old purse of father's, I did not find money in it, but a diary was kept in the place of the money. Then I thought, oh, so the treasure is hidden here. I thought that father must have written from whom how much money is to be taken and to whom he has given how much money. But I was wrong. When I opened the first page of that little diary, what was written there was a bit serious. After reading what was written in the diary, the expression on my face disappeared, because nothing in the diary was what I was thinking. There, the account of the money was written, which was borrowed from different people for different purposes. Money was also taken in the name of a computer in that list. It was written like this: 50,000 for my son's computer. It was the same computer that I am using till today. But I didn't know where the money came from to buy that computer. But today, it was being known. I still remember when I insisted on the camera for the first time, which my father brought me after 2 weeks on my birthday, seeing whom I was delighted and seeing me happy, if someone was happier than me. So he was Papa. Now the anger had completely disappeared from my face. When I turned the front page, there were some wishes written there. The first wish that was written was to wear good shoes. I didn't understand anything about this. Then my feet suddenly went on the water filled on the road, and only then I felt some wetness in my feet. When I took off the shoe, its sole was broken. Seeing this, I remembered what was written in the diary. That's why I was also remembering the words of my parents. How Mother used to say to Father, "Now the shoes have become old, get new ones." So Father used to avoid it by saying, "The shoes will go on for a while. I bought them a few days back." Today I was understanding how many more days will it last. At the same time, it was also understood why Father used to keep the purse hidden. Then, while reading that diary, he came and sat on the bench lying at the bus stand. Now the last page of that diary was left. When I turned that page over, yesterday's date was written there. It was written below the date that R's 50,000 for the bike was just read, and my mind was stunned. Now there was no grudge left in my mind. Tears were just rolling out of my eyes. I still don't know why I was crying then. Now I quickly ran towards the house, but that shoe nail had already managed to make a wound in the foot. I threw the shoes out on the way and reached home staggered, but my father was not at home. I understood where he was. I ran straight to the nearby bike agency. Don't know from where the strength came today that I was not tired of running, and that too barefoot without shoes. As soon as I reached the bike agency, my father was there. I ran and hugged my father, and tears were not stopping from my eyes. Papa could not understand. "What's going on? Why am I crying?" I said to my father. "Papa, I don't want a motorcycle. You buy shoes for yourself. From today onwards, whatever I do, I will do it by studying on my own with hard work." Friends, that was all this story.